Hello and welcome to Autofocus. My name is Brooke. I am here with Brandon Marcello. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Brooke.
I don't even know the last time we saw each other. It was probably been like decades.
A decade,
Yeah, at least.
Plus.
Yeah, so it's good to see
We're
you.
very young.
We're still very young.
Very young. Yeah, when we say a decade, more like it.
Decade, yeah. It feels like 2 years, but it's
does.
been actual like a decade or so. But yeah, why don't you tell everybody like who you are, what you do, like what makes you special?
Well, everybody's special, number one. And now I cover college football on a national scale for CBS Sports, and I've been doing that for the last like 5 years or so in different varieties. And before that, I was a beat writer covering other college athletics programs, not just football, and been doing sports, most of my professional life. And it's just been a natural progression to what I'm doing today. I love it. I love being able to share people's stories, especially because sports is like the ultimate, it's a reflection of life and just overcoming challenges and exceeding or failing. And there's always just that drama with it. It's just always something that's been a great board to share stories.
That's awesome. Well, welcome. We are glad that you're here. We kind of go way back. Like we go back to the Northwest Arkansas Times. Like that newspaper doesn't even exist anymore. So was that your first journalism job, or did you have something before that?
It was my third one. I had very short tenures previously to that. I got out of college and I immediately went to Nashville, Arkansas, and was the managing editor fresh out of school for the Nashville News, which is a pretty historic newspaper down there. It's been in the Graves family forever.
That's crazy.
The former publisher has a lake named after him there.
Okay.
I mean, there's like a mural. It might not be there anymore. A mural painted of him in downtown on the side of the newspaper building. It's just like a landmark there. I did that for maybe 8 months, and I got a interview and job offer at the Morning News of Northwest Arkansas.
Oh, I didn't know you came to the Morning News first.
Which doesn't exist anymore either.
No.
And I actually worked in Rogers as a government reporter covering the smaller municipalities in Northwest Arkansas.
Oh, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I didn't.
Yeah.
Which means, how long did you work at the Morning News?
Like 3 months.
Okay, that's probably why.
It was very short.
Okay.
And the reason why it was short is because you remember there was a sports reporter, Reiner Saban, who worked in the Northwest Arkansas Times. He and I were close friends and worked at the same student newspaper at the University of Arkansas. And I'd always wanted to get back into sports. And he was leaving to go take a job, I think, in Virginia.
Was it Virginia?
The
Virginia
Virginia Pilot.
Dallas.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Virginia Pilot, and then I think he went to Dallas after that.
Okay.
And so he was leaving, and the sports editor at the time, Terry Wood, who I'd freelanced for them throughout college, stringing stuff, junior high games, high school games. And they called me up like, hey, would you be interested? And I was like, oh, heck yeah. Yes, please get me out of covering government stuff.
Yeah.
Little did I know that I'd be doing a lot of that now, even in sports. But so I remember because the two papers, Northwest Arkansas Times and Morning News, were competitors.
You were competitors.
Like hardcore competitors. I remember I interviewed, took the job, put in my 2 weeks, and the Morning News was like, we don't want you hanging around for 2 weeks here. And I'm all like,
you're God.
So can I at least finish the week so I have money, And so I remember calling Northwest Arkansas Times up and going, hey, they don't want me to stay here 2 weeks. And they're like, well, you can start tomorrow if you want.
Yeah,
and so I walked in and go, do you guys want me to just leave today? Call us me. They're like, sure. I'm like, okay, that's it. Bye. And then, the next day I was doing all my HR paperwork and stuff. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. Then I guess I was at the Northwest Arkansas Times for...
How long were you there?
2.5 years.
Yeah, it was a while. Yeah.
2.5, 3 years or so.
That's cool. Yeah, I was there for almost 7.
Yeah. Those were good days. I miss the camaraderie and the feel of being in a newsroom.
Yeah.
Especially when something's going on.
Yeah, the newsroom was
fun. And it's just, and then you got people coming in and out, the photographers are on assignment going somewhere, and they're like, hey, I just saw a wreck over here or whatever, or hey, I'm hearing this over the city council meeting or whatever, and it was like it felt so cool because it's like you're getting the news before everybody else got it, and you're listening and watching these stories all come together. You don't get that anymore because everybody's in their own little silos, remote working. But man, I miss the buzz of a newsroom.
That was fun. I do. Yeah. I miss that too. Out of all the times, like at the times, that was like my favorite part was just everybody around each other. Election nights, you get the pizza and you're there all night. And
And I always took issue with that as a sports reporter. It's like we have election night every Friday during the football season.
We did, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I had to come in and because I was like, those are my long days because like I was the morning photographer. And then everybody had to do a football game, and so I had like a 2-hour break to go get dinner and like hang out, and then I would go to like
sometimes more than one, sometimes more than one football game. It's like can you go while you're out in Lincoln? Can you swing by Prairie Grove?
I would do that. Yeah, I would hit.
I mean?
Like it's like halftime. You go hit Prairie Grove, then come back, and I had to get all my photos in before like 10:30, and then I could go finally hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
Finally start my weekend.
Yep.
Yeah. We never got pizza for that. Oh man.
Never.
Okay.
Ever.
But that was such a fun time. Yeah, I do enjoy that. And then and Reiner, I remember him moving on and him being an intern. It was such a fun time. There were so many good people that are doing amazing, successful things now. So
yeah, I mean it's incredible. Like I think in any business, like I'm sure like you work with people and then you turn around 10, 15 years later and this person's doing that or they're completely out of the industry you're in and they're like running something and you're like, holy crud, I didn't realize you had that in you or whatever. I used to just be a ink stained wrench like me just writing stuff. And now you're running PR for some Fortune 500 company or whatever. It's like you're wearing a suit every day.
You're in a suit. You're like corporate now.
Yeah,
that's
weird.
So weird. Yeah. That's awesome.
Weird.
Awesome. I love it. What made you want to become a sports journalist?
Long story short, growing up, I wanted to be a meteorologist of all things. And I moved up here, I think when I was like in 7th grade in Northwest Arkansas. And I had my eyes on going to Oklahoma or like maybe Mississippi State because they had really good meteorology programs. Well, I remember my sophomore, junior year, I got thrown into advanced math classes and they decided to put like 5 of us in both geometry and also AP calculus in the same semester.
Oh, because that's easy.
Needless to say, I completely... Well, I was in over my head with calculus.
Yeah.
And I always was an A and B student, and I was failing calculus. I had to beg the teacher to somehow find a way to give me a D, and I got a D, and I quickly realized, meteorology deals with a lot of math and probably a lot of calculus, and I'm terrible at I didn't have the brain capacity to do it. And so while I was figuring all that out, I would always read the newspapers up here because back then we had, as I mentioned, the morning news, the Northwest Arkansas Times, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, and then you also had like the small community weeklies and stuff. Yeah,
the Daily Record.
Yeah, Benton County Daily Record.
Yeah.
And so Farmington, what was our Farmington paper? The Farmington Post, I think, back then.
Yeah.
So I would just read a lot, and having just moved within the last few years to here, I never was in a state where sports were really, really big, and you had one really sports team everybody followed, which was the Razorbacks. Mm-hmm. Everywhere else, Mississippi, and I grew up, it was like Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Southern Miss, LSU, and everybody was divided. I didn't really care. But here, everybody was obsessed with the Razorbacks.
Yeah.
And so I just was interested, and so I read a lot about them in all those newspapers. And I remember we had a program at our school, which a lot of schools had. It was called Newspapers in Education, where they would bring every morning to the office a copy of every single one of the daily papers.
Oh, wow.
And you could just pick it up for free if you're a student.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, I was the only person ever really did that. So I'd go in there every morning before classes started or whatever and pick them up, and then I'd read them throughout the day. I'd be carrying newspapers around. And it took a few months while the calculus stuff was going on and reading that. I was like, man, you know what? I'd probably like to be a sports reporter, a writer of some sort. Because I was reading, it was so great. So you had all these different voices in the paper covering one team, and they all had different perspectives. You had Wally Hall, you had Scott Kane, you had Bob Holt, you had Chip Souza, you had
Nate Allen in there?
Nate Allen, of course, was in there. Dudley Dawson, and then you had like even guys like Mike Neal, who's the voice of the Razorbacks, was writing columns for the Northwest Arkansas Times at the time. And so it's just gobbled everything out. I was like, this is incredible. Little did I know like how spoiled we were probably up here, because it's like I don't think that was going on anywhere really in the country. No. But reading those stories, I love the voices, but also like loved reading the stories about the players, like their upbringing and then overcoming stuff and being successful here. And I really related to that because I grew up like really dirt poor. I grew up in a single parent home, didn't have a father around or whatever to kind of teach me certain things about life. And I would read these stories about players, and I related with them so much, a few of them. And I was just like, man, I'd love to be able to someday be able to write stories about that type of stuff. And yeah, I fell in love with it. And as soon as I got to college, I remember walking into the student newspaper, the Arkansas Traveler, going, hey, I would love to do, Razorback football. And they're like, that's cool. We're going to start you off like doing smaller stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, I got to work my way up. And I just fell in love with it, loved it, learned the lay of the land, and I got even hungrier, and I was like, can I freelance? And I remember they're like, yeah, the Northwest Arkansas Times will pay you to go cover junior high and like high school football and basketball games. And I was like, really? How much?
Like $5.
Yeah, well, it was pretty good.
Okay.
It was good beer. It was good beer money, as they would say in college. It was. I remember I could at the Northwest Arkansas Times freelancing. You could go cover a game on a Friday night, and they always wanted a follow-up story, so it'd be 2 stories, and each story was $45.
Ooh, see, that is good beer money.
$90 to go somewhere for 3 hours and spend like 45 minutes to an hour writing. That's pretty good money.
Yeah.
And then I like parlay that into like, do you guys need any features or anything else during the middle of the week? So I like do the Friday night thing. I go cover a Thursday night junior high game, or I like write a Razorback feature for our tab that would come out on Saturdays. That's cool. So there were some weeks where I was making like an extra $180.
Oh, that's so awesome.
It was really
in college,
good.
Yeah.
In college, it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So, that's just like everything I ever go back, like what you're doing now is like, that's what, like those were like the really fun days.
Yeah.
Doing that stuff.
That's awesome. Okay, so you eventually, your career, you started in here, as a writer. What got you into being like a commentator on like CBS Sports? Like, how did you go from like reporter at a local newspaper to like CBS Sports?
I just follow like the progression of technology in a lot of ways. I remember after I left here, I became the beat writer at Mississippi State, and they were big into like, you need to blog every day, and you need to do like, you need to take, iPhones had just came out like a year or two before, and they're like, shoot video with your iPhone, some of your interviews and stuff. And then that quickly turned into, well, after games, why don't you set up your camera on a tripod and record your thoughts on the game? And so I did that, and it was like really popular, not because of me, but because it was so new, and people were like, I want more information.
Yeah.
And so I just kept doing that. I loved it, and went to Auburn. I do the same thing, and then, I don't know if people remember back when they started doing live video on apps called Periscope and all that stuff.
Oh wow, no, I never did that.
Oh, so I would like after football games and basketball games, after I'm done writing and I'm leaving the press box, I would just turn on Periscope and do a live thing of me just walking back to my car holding my phone up, answering people's questions.
Oh wow, and that is and you just did all of it on your phone?
Just did it on my phone, and people loved it, and I loved it because people, sports is such there's that camaraderie, there's community there, and everybody's just so interested and passionate about it. And even in losses, they're very negative, and they're probably even attacking you while you're on there. But like, it's just still really cool. And I think a lot of people really appreciate knowing they can go directly to someone who was at the event and able to ask questions or find out information, and they can get it directly from you, and you're looking at them, interacting with them. Mm-hmm. And so I did that a lot, and it was just one thing turned into another, and you start doing podcasts, and then podcasts doing more stuff with video, and then I'm working with 24/7 Sports, and then CBS Sports, and I'm like, hey, we have a streaming network or whatever, so you come on and do hits or whatever, and now it's gotten to the point now where in my upstairs office, I've got like a mini studio. I've got like 2 studios up there. I've got one just at my office desk that I've got set up, and then I got something built off to the side, much like this. It's almost like a black void or whatever, where I put up some sound panels and some lights and everything. And it's become part of my daily life is doing video, where, you know, I went into this just, I want to be a writer, I don't want to be on camera, but now I do both.
That's awesome. I wanted to talk to you definitely about your setup and your gear, but first I want to talk to you about, like, what was that change like? Going from, like, you know, a reporter to being on camera and, like, having to watch yourself on camera.
Yeah, it's awkward, and, you know, it's one of those situations where I hate watching myself. I think everybody does.
Everyone does.
And so it's just like when it was out there, I'd like just go, I'm not watching that. It's out there, it's done. That's why I like doing the live stuff, because like it's out there, it's done. I don't have to deal with it anymore. But, you know, the bad part is, like, when you start doing pre-recorded stuff and everything, someone's got to edit it. And most of the time, of course, I'd be editing my own stuff, because then, like, I had a team, like, hey, you go do this for me. So that's a little bit awkward. And it took some getting used to, you know, especially because, like, especially in my Auburn days, I gained a lot of weight. And I was a big dude. And, of course, I'd get all this negative feedback from people, and I just had to ignore it or whatever and put everything out. But it is still very awkward to see yourself on video, or even like now, like, for example, I was in Las Vegas recently at a Media Days event for the Big Ten Conference, and we had like some studio stuff we did there with CBS Sports, and I had to go do some hits and all this stuff. And then later that day, I went to a campus at UNLV to go talk to some people and went to have lunch, and they just so happened to have CBS Sports HQ streaming up there, and I looked up and I saw myself on TV, and it kind of freaked me out.
That would be so
it was
weird.
A little weird. I was just like, yeah, and I was like, that looks familiar. That's me.
Yeah.
So that takes a little getting used to, but I really enjoy it, because people nowadays seem to they gobble up more podcast type format than they do the written word, and so to be able to share stories and information now, you've got to be able to do both, if not, you know, really lean more into the podcast space.
Yeah, I think video is really important for that. And then just like what advice would you give to people that are just starting out? They're like, I know I need to be on camera, but I hate it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the face for radio. How do you tell them just to get over it?
I would just say that, get over yourself. Don't worry about that. Just make sure you speak clearly and you have intent and you know what you're going to talk about. Don't say ooh, ah. We're all going to do that. Everybody's not perfect when they're doing it, but be yourself too. Don't put on some different persona or whatever. I see some people who do that, and whenever they do it, they immediately almost fail, almost every time.
Yeah,
there's a few out there that do it because they're characters, more or less, and people want that character. But people who are faking it, they can tell. You just need to be able to be yourself and be personable.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, I'm the same way. I hate seeing myself on camera. I feel like it doesn't. They're like, oh, it adds 10 pounds. I'm like, no, it adds like 50. Like, there's no way I look like that.
Yeah.
And it adds like 20 years. You know, I was like, when did I have that wrinkle? But no, I think, but no one else is looking at you like that. Like, no one else is like judging you and like looking at you. You know. Like
recently, because I'm obviously bald. I don't know if you can see that. I've started using makeup.
Do you do it?
I put it on my head because it's so shiny, and I didn't do it for this. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
So, but I would do it, and they're like, it's not going to change the color of your skin. You can't really tell. It's just like a matte. It's just going to, so the light doesn't go there. And so, but I still feel awkward. But I have to get over myself. Again, you have to get over yourself. I feel awkward. I'm standing off, patting my head with makeup and looking in a makeup mirror. I never thought I'd do that, but you have to do what you got to do.
It was so funny. It's funny watching the TV guys when we were at things, and you would see them, like the guys putting on makeup, you know, and you're like, I was like, y'all really do, and they're like, those lights are harsh, and I'm like, I'm like, I get it. Even these aren't that harsh, but I still will put on like some concealer. And I put on some like stuff to make, you know, I don't want as much shine. So,
well, I mean, I'll do like TV stuff. Like later today, I'm doing something on the Paul Feinbaum show. And usually that's in the afternoon, and I used to go work out mid-afternoon, and I'd come back and like have 20, 30 minutes before I'd do the show, and I would still be kind of sweaty after taking a shower, and I would just be glistening, and you would see, it would look like like I had a headlamp on for my head and everything, and I'd have people going, are you okay? Are you sick? Because you're sweating a lot. I'm like, I just went to the gym.
And I get red. I don't know about you, because I'm like Irish, you know? And so, you're like, and people are like, are you okay? You're really red. I'm like, no, it's just.
And I've done shows where I was literally had like sweat spots coming through my shirt, like a dress shirt. And it's like, dude, are you nervous? I'm like, no. I'm not, I promise. I was at the gym earlier. Like, yeah, okay, sure.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right, let's talk about your setup. Okay, so so you have, like, I saw your setup. It was really, really cool. Like, it has, like, the green light under there, and you have a lot of personal stuff in the background. So tell us about your setup. Like, how do you choose what's going to be in the background?
Yeah, I think you just try to put things up there that people can say, oh, that's what he does, and that's what he likes, and this is what he's accomplished, and why I should trust them. In my opinion, that's what I do. So I've got, like, you know, I'm the biggest nerd for the movie RoboCop. So I got like a RoboCop head on the side of my table. You might be able to see sometimes on there. I've got like a couple of awards, writing awards and stuff on the table behind me, on the setup behind me. I've got some little trinkets here and there, some football trinkets. I've even got like I bought this LED scoreboard that I turn on during the season, and it'll show scores behind me.
Cool.
And like what games are coming up. So you just kind of, not to take the attention away from you, but like you got to spice it up. You can't just be sitting there and be like, there's a black wall behind you. Because I used to do that, and people would be like, they always go, are you in a cave? Or are you in a basement? And I'm like, no, it's a backdrop. Yeah. I'm like, that's a backdrop? It looks like you're in a cave. So yeah, it's just pretty simple. You know, it's awkward when you like have friends come over and they're all like, they come over to your office, and that's where I work every day.
Yeah.
And they're all like, everything's so perfectly set up behind you. That looks weird. I'm like, yeah, it's for TV. You know, this was not what my desk would look like normally or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of, I think it's kind of common sense now. Everybody does video stuff. You know, especially since the pandemic. You know, everybody's doing Zooms and stuff, and you know, they would do the Zoom backgrounds, but then people were just like sit in front of a bookcase. Like that was everybody's big thing.
I was gonna ask about that. I was like, if you're gonna do a bookcase, like please have read the books that are behind you. Like you're just reading them. You're like, you didn't read that. Like
I do the same thing. Like the only books that are like behind me are ones that I've read, or ones that I like or whatever, or if it's a book that was just coming out and a friend of mine has written, I do it to put it there just to almost like promote it indirectly, because I want to support all the writers that I know out there. Yeah, it's just like like I've had people go, that book hasn't come out yet, and I'm like, see, you paid attention, you paid attention to it. Now you're interested, you want to buy it.
That's amazing. All right, let's talk about the mic and your gear. So like, what kind of like do you use, like what do you use for a mic and camera?
Yeah, I mean, the trustiest mic out there, in my opinion, is the Shure. Why am I forgetting the product number? SM.
Oh, these SM7s.
Yes. Yeah.
SM. This is the DB. It has like it's like the step up from there. It has like the preamp.
Preamp already built in. Yeah. So I got the old-fashioned one, and I've got like a preamp with it. That's a cloud lifter is what they call it. It's like $70 that you just attach directly to the line. Plug it into another kind of preamp to help with it called Focusrite that I utilize. I can put in 4 connections, so if I'm doing a podcast, I can plug in other stuff. My camera, the main one I've got is a Sony, I think A6000 is the model. I bought that like in 2021. At the time, it was like $800. It's a lot of money, but now they're like $500, $600. And I recently just bought a second camera because I'm doing more 3-camera setups.
Okay, cool.
And the second camera is a Sony, but they've ever since the pandemic and everything, they're like, we got to do more high quality like DSLR cameras for people who are doing live streaming or videos. And it's a Sony, I think it's called ZV-E10 or whatever, and it's pretty much that Sony A6000 DSLR, but it's made for streaming. So instead of buying a capture card to plug into your camera and then plug into your computer, it's literally you just plug in the USB into your USB and it just streams.
That's awesome.
And that's great. It's a great setup. I've got a couple of lights in front of me. I mostly just use a giant ring light whenever I'm just sitting motionless and it's just a headshot. And let's see, what else do I have there? Yeah, and just make sure everything looks good behind you. My whole thing is like, make sure the sound's clear and good, and then video to me in a lot of ways is secondary. People want to be able to hear what you're saying, but light is everything. You can have the best camera, but you got to have good lighting. So you got to tinker with your lighting, make sure you're not blowing yourself out, make sure you're not too dark or whatever. So that's my big thing. I always just fiddle. I remember when I first started doing more of that stuff, it was always just like making sure I got the light temperature and everything just right, so I didn't look too dark or just completely. Because there's been times where I've done stuff and it looks like I look like a ghost. It's just,
I know.
So you got to pay attention to that stuff too. But it's so easy to do. I wouldn't say I'm like, a technical savant of any sort. It's just like you do your research, you look at stuff, you go, what makes sense monetarily for me, and slowly over the years, to be quite honest, I bought things. Like my first investment was a Shure microphone back in 2016. I bought that, and then I was just shooting on a regular webcam, and then I started figuring out, well, I could get a capture card, and capture cards were getting cheaper then. I think I remember I just bought I still use it, a Camlink 4K capture card. You just plug into a USB, and you can plug in an HDMI output to it. So that's what I plug my DSLR camera. And there's so many other options out there. You just gotta look what kind of fits your budget, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like and you said that audio comes first. I totally agree. And that was, as a photographer, it pains me to say that. So
yeah, I mean it is. I mean, as good as it would be, I mean, people don't want to watch this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you gotta have good sound, because even today when I'm out on assignment or working, I'll try to bring some of my stuff. I'll bring a camera, a tripod, and maybe a light if I can fit it in my suitcase. But otherwise, I'll just do live hits for CBS Sports HQ on my laptop. But the big thing there is just always like, we got to have clear sound. And I can't tell you how many times I've done live hits where the internet's crappy because you're like in a hotel or whatever, and your video's jumpy, but they can cover that up with B-roll and other stuff. But as long as the sound's good, that's all they care about. They don't care about you, whatever. It's just, you got to have good sound.
Yep, the audio is it's so important. And so if you're gonna put your studio together in parts, sound first, and then go to video.
Yeah, because I mean, this. I can't tell you how many streamers you see today that are even really popular. Like, you watch it and you're like, man, the camera on that is terrible. They must just be using a small little Logitech 1080p thing that they bought for $40, but they've got a good sound setup, and it's what draws people in.
Yeah, and if they can see the screen, if they're watching a video game or something,
right.
That's all I care about.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing. All right, okay, so I also saw that you started a podcast with your wife. How's that? How does that go?
It's fun. It's on hiatus right now, but we're probably going to bring it back during the football season.
Cool.
It's called... We've had this idea for a while. Mostly she did. And her first name for it, I can't repeat because it's very derogatory, but she came up with it. But we ended up settling with Basic AF, and that stands for Basic as Football. And the whole premise of it is, obviously I'm a college football reporter. I'm neck deep in it every day. And she's just a kind of a casual fan or whatever. She doesn't really pay attention to what I'm doing work-wise or whatever, but she's interested in it. But she also knows, at the end of the day, when I get done working, at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, she knows, I'm just not going to talk about work to him, because he wants to get away for a couple hours. But it's her way of, asking me what's going on with work, but also for her to ask questions about football, things that, I think a lot of fans, and even including myself, we're almost afraid to ask questions because we don't want to sound dumb. Yeah. It's so what do you mean he ran off tackle? What's that mean exactly? And I can't tell you how many experts out there they would ask the same questions. They're just afraid to. They don't want to get their ego.
I'm supposed to be an expert. Yeah.
So she does that, and then what's really remarkable about it is she'll ask me questions, and if you watch some of the episodes, I'll literally just stop and go, I didn't think of it that way. That's a good question. Yeah. And I'm I got to make a note of that so I can ask about this to someone next time this comes up. And plus, it's just I just love spending time with her anyway, and we love poking at each other. And so she'll poke at me, and
it is a fun one. Just the thumbnails are fun.
Yeah. Yes. And then she's just always, then I give her like the last like 10, 15 minutes, like, so what do you want to talk about other than this crap? Like, what's going on in your life? She'll tell me about what she's reading or whatever. And then I get a chance to ask some really stupid, basic questions, so to speak, to her. And then she gets to be like, what are you talking about? Or like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. So it's a lot of fun.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it's just simple setup. You know, we only had the one camera at the time, but I've gotten more now where we're literally just sitting at my desk that you see on TV all the time and sitting next to each other talking.
Yeah.
You know, with a couple of handheld mics, some Shure, tried and true ones, the blue ribbon around them.
I don't even know. Yeah.
I can't remember the name of them.
I cannot remember the name, but yeah.
But yeah, they're like the tried and true ones, and you can go on eBay and get them for like $100, whereas
awesome.
you go to Amazon, they're like $300. So do your research. There's always ways to save money. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So that's pretty much like I just do that for fun. But it's also work related.
Yeah.
In addition to everything else I'm doing, you know, I do TV guest spots, CBS Sports HQ stuff, interviews. I've brought some coaches actually upstairs in my office to interview whenever they're around town. It's amazing how many like college football coaches like vacation here.
That's really weird.
Isn't that weird?
I would not have thought that.
Right. Okay. So Florida State's head coach, Mike Norvell, his wife is from the Fort Smith area.
Okay.
And they have a house on Beaver Lake, and they come up every summer.
Fun. Okay.
So that's one person.
That's really nice. Yeah.
I'm good friends with Gus Malzahn. He used to be the coach at Auburn, who I covered, UCF. Now he's the offensive coordinator actually at Florida State. Well, he was up here 3-4 weeks ago for a wedding, and I was like, "You want to come swing by and record a podcast?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." Come over to the house and got to see the family he hadn't seen in a while.
That's amazing.
You know, my idea is it's like, during the football season, if I'm in town, you know, every Razorback game is on national television now, obviously, and ESPN does all those games. So you have all these ESPN personalities that come through to cover the game. So like my idea is like, I know a lot of them. I'll just call them up, go, hey, if you're bored on Friday while you're waiting for the game, you've done all your research, how about I go take you out to eat and then you just drive back to my house and we do a podcast real quick. So you got to, again, it's one of those situations where you take advantage of the opportunities that are around you, and if it's something that interests you, you can build around it and show your personality or whatever. That's kind of my whole impetus for everything I do in the podcast world, so to speak.
That's amazing. All right, well, thank you so much for being here. I always want to end. I always have one last question for everybody. What advice would you give to someone just starting out, like in podcasting?
Do not get down on yourself. Everything starts very slowly. Not a lot of people are going to watch whatever you do. I don't care if you go on there and go, hey, I have evidence that aliens exist, and this is here's a tape, and he's sitting next to me. It's probably still not going to get a lot of views.
It's not going to go viral. No.
It's not going to go viral. So just keep working at it. You got to build a content library. My big thing is, and I've been working on launching another podcast with a friend of mine, and I don't know if it's going to launch. We're running into some other issues. But our whole plan is when we launch, we've got 2 episodes on the first day, like an introductory episode, what you're about, what you're going to see, and here's some content. And then the second episode is like, here's a full episode of what you usually would see. And then like for that first week or two, like if it's a twice a week podcast, my plan was that first week, we were going to have 5 episodes that first week. The second week, like 3 or 4 or whatever, and then trim it down to where, okay, now we're to our schedule or whatever. You build up that content, so if someone stumbles upon your podcast, say 2 weeks later, they've got like 10 things to listen to instead of just one and going, well, that's it?
That's it? And then they're leaving.
And they don't have a good feel for it. So build up your content and keep your confidence going. You're not going to hit it big. No one ever hits it big, but keep your confidence, build up a content library, have a plan going in place to where you can record and do something where it's not just, here's one podcast, and then do 1 3 weeks later. Put something up so when people visit it, they got like a variety of like 4 to 5 episodes.
Yeah, you've got like a backlog and people will see it. That's a really good idea. And it's like you don't need to just record and then publish, record and publish, record and publish. Like unless it's like hot news, like you can make it wait. Like it's fine.
Exactly.
Like build up the backlog till you have it, then launch.
And launch it. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
It's really good advice. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was so good to see you.
It's good to see you.
All right, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.